What's good, y'all? Welcome back. This is Casual Takes. I'm your host, LJ, and today we're going to go over my predictions for UFC 317. We're going no camera today, as y'all can see. If you mess with the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to breeze through most of these prelim fights. We got Chris Stewart versus Jackson McVeigh. I'm not familiar with either of these guys. Renato Deniz versus Alvin Hayes. Deniz should knock him out. Jacoby Smith versus Nico Price. Jacoby Smith should knock him out in the first round. Viviane Araujo versus Tracy Cortez. It'll be a 29-28 decision either way, most likely. You feel me? I don't really have too much to offer for that fight. Then Hyder Emil versus Jose Delgado. I'm not familiar with those guys. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. The first interesting fight on this card is Terrance McKinney versus Viacheslav Borshchev. Both of these guys have very heavy hands and have pretty bad defense. They both either tend to finish fights early or get utterly destroyed. Borshchev typically doesn't go out early, but he'll get dropped multiple times in fights and things of that nature, right? Whereas Terrance McKinney, he usually either gets a knockout very quickly or he gets knocked out very quickly. So with that being said, if you were to bet on this fight, go under on rounds so you don't have to stress who wins. But me picking a winner, I would go Viacheslav Borshchev. I think he's more technical in the boxing. You know, not by a wide margin or anything. These guys are both pretty much bottom of the barrel lightweights, right? But I think Viacheslav Borshchev is slightly better on the feet, so I will pick him by round one knockout. You know, but with that being said, it's a bit of a toss-up, but this should be a banger fight. Headline of the prelims is Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodrigues. Jack Hermanson's last fight was all the way back in February of 2024, where he picked up a win over Joe Pyfer by decision. Hasn't fought since, though. And Gregory Rodrigues' last fight was against Jerry Cannonier, where he got stopped in the third round. That was an amazing fight. If you haven't watched it, it's probably on YouTube for free. Anyways, though, as far as who I'm picking for this fight, I got Gregory Rodrigues by KO. I think that his pressure is going to be too much for Hermanson. Hermanson doesn't have much power to throw his way. I think that Gregory Rodrigues is extremely powerful, extremely physical. I don't think that Hermanson is going to be able to take him down because he's going to be on the back foot the entire time. I think Hermanson's old, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't have much as far as physical attributes. He pretty much relies on his technique, and I think that Gregory Rodrigues he just has too much talent, you know what I'm saying? And when I say talent, I mean physical talent, right? The size, the strength, the speed, etc., etc. I think it's going to be too much. He's going to overwhelm Jack Hermanson with his power and his pressure. I got Gregory Rodrigues by KO. Opening up the main card, we got Payton Talbott versus Felipe Lima. Last fight for Payton Talbott was embarrassing. He just got held down by Raoni Barcelos. Could not get back up. Didn't turtle. Didn't grab underhooks on takedowns. Barcelos was just consistently taking him down and holding him there the entire fight. And I don't see much changing with Felipe Lima, honestly. I think that Lima is just as talented, if not more, as a grappler than Barcelos. I think he has better submission ability. Even if Talbot is turtling to get back to his feet, Lima can take his back and choke him out from that position. We saw him do that against Naimov, right? So I don't see much of a reason why Lima doesn't get this done unless Talbot just lands a super clean shot and puts him down. You know what I mean? That's really the only route to victory for Talbot that I see. I doubt that he's going to be able to get up from bottom. And if he does try to get up and give up his back, I think that Lima takes his back and either controls him or submits him. I got Felipe Lima by submission. Next up, we got Beniel Dariush versus Renato Moicano. This is going to be an interesting one because Moicano has seen a lot of success on the ground recently. He's been very takedown heavy in his fights. And Beniel Dariush is probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive grappler at 155 right now. The only thing is he has not fought since 2023. So it's been over a year and a half since he's fought. I just don't know what he's going to look like on the feet. I don't know what his chin is going to look like. So I have to go with Renato Moicano. I don't know if Moicano has the power to put Beniel Dariush out. Although, I don't know. Dariush's chin might just be finished. With all that being said, though, I think that Moicano's going to stay behind his 1-2. He's going to stay behind his kicks. He's going to stay safe on the feet. He's going to clinch up like he tends to do. He has his knees from there. I just don't know which type of shape Beniel Dariush is going to be in, and so I cannot pick him in good faith. I got Renato Moicano by decision. Next up is Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. Brandon Royval is going to have the huge height and reach advantage. He's going to use his range. He's going to stay behind the 1-2. He could pose problems for Van if he fights from southpaw, because we saw Joshua Van struggle with Charles Johnson, who was also a taller Ranger flyweight that fights out of the southpaw. He was able to capitalize on the opening and put Joshua Van down in the 3rd round. With that being said, though, I think that Brandon Royval's defense is not as good as Charles Johnson's. I think that Joshua Van is going to be able to pressure him, put together his combinations, and I think Joshua Van even could wrestle him, right? Because we saw Joshua Van last year on the Sphere card. He was pretty heavily in the wrestling, right? Because his chin hadn't recovered yet from the Charles Johnson knockout. He took that fight on pretty short notice. You know what I'm saying? I think he can use his wrestling against Brandon Royval. We see Brandon Royval get taken down a ton. He's not very physically strong for the weight class. I think that Joshua Van, if he wanted to go to the wrestling, he absolutely could. But I don't know if he will need to. I think that Joshua Van is just much better on the feet. If Brandon Royval does watch film, though, I do think that he could get it done, because the opening that Charles Johnson exploited in his fight with Joshua Van is still there if you're watching the fights. I just think it depends on what Brandon Royval's game plan is, but I do have Joshua Van either by decision or by TKO. I'll probably go by decision because Brandon Royval is very tough. He does not get put down easily. But I just think Joshua Van's pressure and his striking is just going to be too much. Now we got the co-main event. It's Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. Kara-France is a good striker. He sacrifices the volume you usually see at flyweight for more power. He throws absolutely everything in his shots. He's a good defensive grappler as well. But with that being said, though, Alexandre Pantoja, I think he's just too physical. He's too technical in the grappling, and he has too much power for Kai Kara-France. He's going to be much bigger than Kara-France. He's going to be able to impose his will by walking through shots and having that relentless pressure that he always does. I mean, it's going to look like a typical Pantoja fight. Just walking through the punches, taking his opponent down, getting in his opponent's face, imposing his will. Like, it's not going to be any different, I don't think. I got Pantoja by decision. He could get a submission if he's able to tire out Kara-France to get his back and put on a choke. I could see a submission happening. But I got Pantoja by decision. It's damn near a lock. Main event time, we got Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria for the vacant flyweight belt. Ilia, we know he has fantastic boxing, is amazing on the front. Ooh, I just slapped the shit out my mic. He's amazing on the front foot, super powerful, super accurate, amazing leg kicks. Came into the UFC a jiu-jitsu guy, so I'm not really sure if Charles is going to be able to take advantage of Ilia in that area of the game. It's going to be a very tough fight for Charles. There is a way that Charles can win. If he puts Ilia on the back foot, pretty much all of his offense gets neutered. He's not as good defensively on the back foot either. So he could do something with that. Ilia also has a very high guard, so if Charles does wrestle like he did last fight against Michael Chandler, he could also pose some threats to Ilia with that. With that being said, dog, Ilia's power is just too much. He's just too dangerous. If Charles lets him back him up to defense even once, it's lights out for him. He's going to have to be perfect over 5 rounds. And that's so hard to do in MMA. And we've seen Charles not be able to be perfect over 5 rounds in other fights. But with that being said, though, Charles does have a substantial height and reach advantage. He does have some areas where he can take the fight that he's better in. But I just think Ilia is too much, man. The power is too much. The boxing is too much. I got Ilia by knockout. Probably in the later rounds, honestly. I think Charles is going to come in with a really good game plan. I got Ilia by KO, 4th or 5th round. I think the power is going to carry on. I think he's honestly going to have even better cardio at lightweight than he did at featherweight because the weight cut isn't going to be as much on him. I'm scared for Charles, honestly. I want to see him win, but I can't predict him winning in good faith. You know what I'm saying? All right, now for the gambling. You feel me? I have 2 parlays going. One of them is a safer one, and one of them is way more risky. For the safer one, I have Jacoby Smith by knockout, Renato Denise by knockout, under 1.5 rounds for Borshchev versus McKinney. I got Joshua Van, and then I have Pantoja to win. I already gave all my analysis for most of those fights. Smith and Janice are just way better than their opponents, as I stated in like the first 30 seconds of the video. They should win pretty handily. My other parlay though, Charles Oliveira to win, Jack Hermanson by points or Gregory Rodrigues by knockout, and then I got over 2.5, and that's $5 to win 68. Both of these parlays are $5. The first one's to win 36, the other one's to win 68. I just wanted to put some money on Charles because I honestly do think there's a route that he can win this fight in, and he's a crazy underdog. Plus 330 is insane odds to me for a guy that was a champion. You know what I'm saying? Not even that long ago, and it has shown some growth in the wrestling against Michael Chandler. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, those are my 2 parlays. Hopefully one of them works out. I'm low-key running out of money on Bovada. And if neither of these hoes hit, I have $10 left, and I'm using that $10 on the next UFC pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? If I don't hit that parlay, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's really about it for the parlays. All right, y'all. That wraps up the vid. You know what I'm saying? I'm really excited for Saturday's pay-per-view. Expect the QB tier list to be on the way. I'm going to get some NBA offseason content out for y'all, covering the draft and the trades that have happened so far. I'm going to sit on the QB vid until some of that stuff slows down. Just because, we got 2 more months in the NFL offseason. Nobody's rushing me. You know what I'm saying? Camera should be back next vid. I just had to charge my other mic. I think that's all I had to say. If you're listening to my voice right now, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado. Anyways, that's about it, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Don't got much else to say. So, peace. I'm out.